Vincent, why don't you first start by simply telling us a very brief biography and follow that by why you're running and running for this particular seat.
Well, David, you know, this is a rare opportunity. House seats don't come up very often, and we're in a district in Upper Manhattan that has gone through a lot of change in the past 5 years, let alone the past 40 years that we've been served by the current office holder, Charles Rangel. And I think that it's time to actually bring the district together around some issues and some goals for the district and bring people together around those issues and just take the opportunity to really acknowledge the diversity in the district and what we can do by working together. So I'm standing up really to champion sort of looking forward and making sure that the district gets together around issues that bind all of us, regardless of what our ethnic background is, our religious background, or age differences or whatever. We have common goals that we can all sort of aspire to and get behind.
We'll get a little bit further into that in a second, but I wanted to give a little other biography as well. Mm-hmm. You worked actually for Congressman Rangel.
I did.
We'll come back to that in a second,
Sure.
But I wanted to get to a little more personal business, that you actually dropped out of high school.
I did.
And tell us briefly about that and how you ultimately got on the track to where you are today.
You know, life is funny. And I'll tell you, David, you know, a lot of times we make good decisions and bad decisions. And later on in life, you know, we often find that that those were all learning experiences for us. When I was 16 years old, I made one of the dumbest decisions in my life. And, you know, education is such an important thing to me today because I actually was one of these young people that, you know, thought I was too smart, thought I didn't need school, thought all of these different reasons why young people will give you why they're not going to stay in school. The reality is that it made my life very difficult almost instantaneously from when I made that decision. The first thing it did, it cut me off from anything more than a $4 or $5 an hour job. I got a job when I was 16, and I think I was making $4.35 an hour.
And that was in Tennessee where you grew up?
No, I grew up in Chicago.
I'm sorry, in Chicago, yes.
Yeah, and you know, $4.35 an hour, you know, a clerical job, and there weren't any prospects for it. There wasn't any rising up into a management position without
But you went beyond that, and briefly, what did you do? I understand you took a GED.
I actually was helped by some folks, an educator actually, a friend of mine in high school. Her mother was an educator, and really the quick story of it is she refused to let me, you know, hang out with her daughter anymore because I dropped out of high school. And she was very sort of like,
I don't want to drop out from my daughter's boyfriend.
Exactly. So she called me a few weeks later and she said, you know what, you're too smart and I'm not going to let you fail. Now, if you take responsibility for it, I'm going to help you get back into school. And she helped me, you know, go get into a program. I got my GED and went on to junior college. And I want to pay that back now because we've got so many young people who are teetering on that brink at 16, 17, 18 years old, and they're teetering on the
Indeed, we
brink.
do. I wanted to say that from there you went on to Howard University, and then you got your bachelor's in business management from the University of Illinois at Chicago, and you have a master's degree in public administration from Columbia University.
And at each different point, I got help along the way. So we need to make sure that we continue to pay it back and give young people the support they need to sort of continue to push forward. Okay,
let's pick up on the issue of you worked for Congressman Rangel. You actually were involved in his campaigns the last couple of times around. And now you're running against him, and it seems like out of one of the classical plays, you're turning against the guy that gave you a big break. Why?
I tell people this all the time. I've got a lot of respect for the man. I certainly learned a lot working for him, and I have a lot of personal respect for what he's done in his years of service. But we can't escape the fact that, you know, at the point that he's in his career, he's been in office for 40 years. I think the demographics of the district have changed, and I think the real principles and the needs of the district have changed. And we need leadership that's going to carry on, you know, some of the great things that he did. And it's a fair time to start asking the question, what does leadership look like for this district and districts around the country? I hope people will be compelled by my race to get involved in the process and consider running for office at some point. You've got to start now preparing yourselves for opportunities that'll open up, you know, years from now.
But
and that needs to be a catalyst for people to get involved because they think that they can do it.